God damn, y'all motherfuckers. So the original questions that you asked, if a man was doing something, but he knows it's not right, but he's trying to tell his son not to do, as a father, as a man, you should change your ways. Change what you're doing. If he's sitting there, you know it's bad. You know it's bad what you're doing, but yet you still doing it. He sees and he's praising you for that shit. Then I need to do something different as a man, as a father, as an example for my son. I can't keep doing that same a lifestyle that I know I don't want my son to do. So because that's one of our problems as black people is do as I say, not as I do. We've done that, and it's not a good example for us as fathers, as leaders, as men. We got to show them something different. So if I'm doing shit that I know's wrong and he's praising me for it, said, Dad, I like what you're doing. That's bullshit. Then I need to change. I got to show him something different. That's got to be the go-to move. I can't keep doing the same bad thing that I know I don't want my son to do. And if I don't show him something different and he continue that same bad behavior, I can't fault nobody but myself.
Fair. And if your parents is raising you in the word and the scripture and they're telling you, hey, don't do this because that's what the Bible say, and this is why you shouldn't do it. And if you still trying to go look for the reasoning or why, you're probably looking on ways to get around it. That's what it is. You got the word. You got the doctrine. You got the right from wrong. You know the consequences. They told you not to do it. But now you want to use other means and go talk to other people. You don't feel comfortable talking to your parents about it because they're going to tell your ass, no, what did I say? The reason why you go talk to other people or you venture off into other research, because you still want to figure out how to still do it and maintain your dignity or not feel guilty about it. You still want to bust it open.
So let me ask you a question, Sweeney. I mean, Sweeney, well, the guys in general. So if you're having this conversation with your daughter, right, and you're just saying the answer as a man is going to be, no, don't do it. This is why you shouldn't. And the conversation stops there, right? Now, when you're having the conversation, using that same ideology, your son shouldn't be just busting it wide open all willy-nilly with various women. How are you having that conversation with your son? Are you just going to say, don't be busting it wide open with all of these women willy-nilly, and then you're just going to stop the conversation there? Well, or will that conversation, there will be some context added to that?
I would say that the logic would be the same. If I'm telling my son, these are the rules, don't violate the rules because these are the consequences of your rules. I'm not going to then give you prescriptions for what happens if you violate to curb the consequences of the rules. I'm going to give you the rules. Now, do we have different rules for our sons and versus our daughters? Possible. A lot of us don't. A lot of us do. But just to kind of, to Bruce's point, he's given the rules and he's telling you don't violate the rules because of the consequence. But if you follow the rules, everything that comes out of the other end will be positive for you. So as long as you follow the rules, you're good. But he's not willing to give prescriptions to you violating the rules. He just wants you
to not going to buy condoms for your, because I hear guys say this all the time. Guys have their conversations with their sons, buy condoms for them, all of those things. That's giving the prescription based on what you're saying. You're saying don't bust it wide open, but son, here goes some condoms. So you may not.
I didn't never say that. I don't know what man on this panel does, but if men are doing that, that's them how they train. But me personally, I'm not buying my son no condoms after telling him not to have sex. It's a contradiction. I'm not going. I'm not going to try to give him safety measures on how to deviate from my word. I'm going to say, hey, look, don't do this. And if you decide to go do it, and you go buy the condoms, he going to go buy the condoms. If I know he's buying condoms, then I know he's deviating from work. I'm not going to give him the recipe to go and break the rules that I'm giving them.
Exactly. That was the whole point of why I used the bank analogy is to understand that he's saying this is the rule, don't violate the rule. Not a sense, I get what y'all are saying, but he's saying I'm not gonna help you violate how to navigate violating the rules. Don't violate the rules. That's why I use the bank analogy.
I think we all saying the same
and it's
thing.
clearly it's a difference between the way man and women.
I think Balance trying to get in there, y'all. She ain't saying it. Go ahead, Balance.
I don't know if you guys noticed my name today. Y'all see my hat down there. It says Balance Discipline. I'm all about discipline. And I think that's what's wrong with this current generation and why we have this moral decay is because a lot of single mothers are raising their children without discipline. And that is the issue that we're having. And now we have these grown men who were raised by mothers who didn't discipline them. And that's why society is decaying the way it is. These children need discipline, they need the men. And a lot of times, I think sometimes you maybe need to send the kids to live with the men that will discipline them. These kids lack discipline, and that is what we're seeing. I agree with everything the men are saying on this subject right here. I mean, I think the women baby their kids too much, especially in our culture. They're babying the girls and the boys. They're babying them and they don't give them enough discipline and they're just living reckless and doing whatever they want. And they wonder why we have the society where the men are impregnating the women and then they're going on to the next one over and over and over because there's no discipline and there's no consequence because when this happens, what's the consequence of them just doing this to a woman and leaving? I mean, morality, spiritually, there are consequences, but I'm talking about in the physical, there's always somebody that's just the next woman waiting for them. It's always gonna be another woman waiting for them. And it happens over and over and over in the society. It's like we're babying the men and the women are babying the men. And I'm just tired of seeing it, honestly. I think we as a culture need to bring back morality. We need to bring back discipline. And the fathers need to discipline the children without the mothers getting in the way. I just had to say that. I was holding that for a minute, and
Man, I like the New Balance and discipline.
This
bro.
is not even new. You have not been here Sunday. This is not new.
And I think we're confusing things because just because we're talking about this as far as sexual sex when it comes to our daughter doesn't mean we're having the same conversations with our sons. And it doesn't necessarily mean that same conversation has to be had with our sons. I was just pointing to the logic behind it. I'm not saying one way or the other who you should say this to or you shouldn't. I'm just explaining the logic behind it. And he's basically saying that, hey, look, if you're telling your daughters not to do it, just tell her that's the logic that we go by. Just to say, like, regardless of if we tell our sons, regardless of what the conversation about, take sex out of it, we tell them don't do this because this is going to happen to you if you do it. We just expect them not to violate the rules. We're not going to give them prescriptions on what to curb the consequences of violating the rules. We just going to tell you not to violate them. Now, that's why I was just take sex out of it because you wouldn't do that for your daughter. You wouldn't say, hey, I don't advise you to cheat on the test because you're going to get expelled from school if you get caught. But if you're going to cheat, go use what is that damn website we all used to use to cheat? If you're gonna cheat, cover up your paper and kind of use a mirror to catch your friend. That way your teacher don't catch you. You're just gonna say, don't cheat.
But let me ask
you
gentlemen a question.
There's consequences to everything.
Fucking close to what I said. And y'all can speak for your own little ratchet children, because my daughter is fine. She's a student. She was always been busy. No, fuck that. She's always been busy. She's a stellar athlete. She has always been busy. She's a good child. I have a location on. My daughter sends me her location. She sent me Life 360, so I'll know where she is at all times. How many 19-year-olds about to be 20 do that? Please, miss me with that bullshit. I don't know that life. I was raised in a disciplined household with a military father who also had his hands in raising my daughter, as her father did, who was also, and his dad was military. So I don't know what the fuck everybody in here talking about and whining about. My nephews and my daughter don't act that way. So, and if they do, they know there's repercussions for it because dads and mothers and aunties are in the picture. That's why I say it takes a village. So whoever getting in the way, whoever is doing in the discipline part, there has to be some emotion attached. Because when all you do is tell a child no, 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 without explaining to them. I'm a teacher. I do that. You have to explain to kids these days because of their access to knowledge, like Ms. Taken said, why you're telling them fucking no. If you don't do
we agree to
that.
We just don't want to compromise.
Pause. I didn't interrupt nobody else. If you keep telling them no without a reason, just because I said so, keep playing. That generation is the single mom generation that y'all complaining about.
Nobody said that. Nobody said because I said so.
Out of here. I'm done. The game on. Bye, JR. I'm not rage quitting. I gave y'all a whole half. It is halftime, and I'm going to watch the national championship game. Y'all have a good day with this BS. I love y'all. Bye.
So Cookie taking this as a personal attack. It's not a personal attack on her. And nobody said, say no because I said so. We clearly stated the reasons why we would tell them not to do it. That's explaining it. All we simply said was,
Sweeney, when you ask her what she would do for a kid, now you bringing it personal though, dog. That's what she's talking about when you bring it